is just, nobody's ever seen anything like we're doing. We've tested more than all countries put together, and millions of tests, and the highest quality test. But it's great to be with you. We're joined by Matt Maddox of Wynn Resorts, Chris Reynolds of Toyota, Chris Nassetta of Hilton, Josh Bolton of the Business Roundtable, Walt Immer of Waffle House, and thanks to Vice President Mike Pence, Secretary Steve Mnuchin, and Secretary Eugene Scalia. That Scalia has very good genes. Where's Scalia? He has very good genes, that guy, I'll tell you. Scalia, he's got the Scalia genes, right? We all know what that means. We mourn, and I have to say this so strongly, we mourn every life tragically lost to the invisible enemy, and we're heartened that the worst of the pain and suffering is going to be behind us. We think we really have crossed a big boundary, and much better days are ahead. And I often say I see the light at the end of the tunnel very strongly. This demand is going to be incredible. I think next year is going to be an incredible year for our economy. I think the fourth quarter is going to be really, really good. Kevin, we were talking about that before. You maybe will say something. And we're going to be in a transition quarter next quarter, the third quarter. And I think we'll do very, very nicely there from an economic standpoint. But thanks to the devotion of the American people, the number of new cases continues to decline. The United States has now conducted nearly 6 million tests, far more than any other nation. As I
don't know what mic you guys were listening to. It might have been really bad. Hopefully it's better now.
So much has been learned about what we're
If you could hear me at all, I don't know.
And if it
This is a surprise. I didn't know that he was going to do this. Nobody did. Suddenly, boom, there he was on C-SPAN.
We'll put out the flames.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, we released guidelines to give states.
Let me know if this mic sounds better or if you couldn't hear me or whatever. Okay, Sherry, you can hear me.
And how we want it done. We've really had a good relationship with the states.
Stephanie, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Worked very, very hard.
Sherry can. So,
he's headed the task force.
Stephanie, head over to Sherry's house. But don't get close.
It's just been.
Oh, thanks, Kathleen. Okay.
What's taken place over a very short period of time, including the gowns and all of the surgical equipment and the safety equipment and masks. People don't talk about masks anymore. That's the other thing. They're not talking about masks.
I talk about masks every day.
Because we had a cupboard that was bare. We didn't have a lot of equipment or medical supplies in the cupboard that we inherited. Now we're taking in millions and millions of masks. I'll give you a number that you won't even believe we have in order. 500 million masks coming in.
I believe it.
And we've delivered millions and millions and tens of millions of masks all over. So you don't hear about that anymore either. You don't hear about ventilators. You don't hear about masks. And you shouldn't be hearing about testing, but that's the last thing they can complain about, I guess. You know, if we do 2 million tests, they say,
we don't have the swabs.
Well, we do 3, and then they say,
oh, I don't have a drink.
That's like a dream for the media. But we've done incredible with the testing.
You know, people not getting tested. Media loves it.
About that a little bit, but over the next coming weeks, you'll see some astonishing numbers. I don't
70, 80,000 dead.
If that's even necessary. You have some governors.
None of it was necessary.
Love the tests. You have others that like doing it a different way, an old-fashioned way, with some testing.
You know,
we're going maximum.
The old-fashioned way of not testing for disease.
We encourage the more than
like
30
Grandpa.
states that have taken steps to resume economic activity already. We've given
Thump,
them tremendous encouragement and support. We're backing them 100%.
Encouragement.
Many governors have called me, telling me their plans, laying them out. Governor of Texas, Oklahoma, Governor of Arkansas, many, many governors. I spoke with Governor Cuomo. We had a great talk today on a different subject, but he wants to get open. Everybody wants to get open. They want to get open, and they want to get back to business. And their constituents, the citizens of this country, want to get back. And that's what's happening. So I just want to perhaps start off by introducing our vice president, and then we'll go around the table and
we've met him.
Introduce yourself and say a few words to the media.
Watch, he's wearing a mask today.
By a very serious media out here.
Oh, hey, hero.
Can't see it, but these are the most wonderful human beings. Actually, this is a nice group. I can't imagine. We actually have a nice group of people. But Mike, if you could say a few words, please, that would be great, and then we'll go around the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank all the distinguished business leaders who are here and the and the literally millions of Americans that are employed at the businesses represented around this table. It's remarkable to think, Mr. President, that before the coronavirus epidemic came ashore, we had seen extraordinary growth in the American economy, not just the stock market setting records, millions of new jobs, more Americans working than ever before. But in January, when you stood up the White House Coronavirus Task Force, you said we had one mission, and that was to save lives and to make sure that that the healthcare providers in America would be.
And we're at 60,000 dead, so mission accomplished. Here's some paper towels.
With the coronavirus that we would want our own family members to have. And thanks to your leadership,
I think that was 6 feet.
That we forged with states across the country, working with local health officials, Mr. President, as you said yesterday, we have light at the end of the tunnel. We really are encouraged by the progress.
They both get tested every day, so whether they're 6 feet apart or not, I mean, I'd rather have them sitting right next to each other.
Hospitalizations are declining, even in the greater New York City area. That's a testament to the American people, to the way the American people now nearly 45 days ago embraced the guidelines to slow the spread. And as we come to the end,
he didn't say the president's guidelines.
Period,
oh, we're getting a new VP.
All embraced those same mitigation and social distancing efforts. The American people have put them into practice. We've saved lives. We've protected the vulnerable. We've preserved our healthcare system, and we're well on our way to healing our land. As you mentioned, testing will be a part of how we move to the next stage. It was just on the 16th that you laid out a plan for opening up America again. And as we sit here today, I'm informed that
no one's following.
35 states have already released formal opening plans, many of which are consulting directly with our team.
None of which have met the guidelines?
In the administration, and we're going to continue to work with all of them. Testing is a major part of it, and I can assure you, Mr. President, and the American people, that the President
doesn't like you talking about testing.
Across the country, we're doing more than 1 million tests a week now, 5.8 million tests total. We expect by next month very quickly to be at a capacity to do more than 2 million tests a week. We laid out our blueprint for testing, and as I heard again today on a conference call with America's governors in agricultural states, there's great enthusiasm for the blueprint for testing that you unveiled earlier this week, and we'll be surging supplies and resources and reagents into the states to support that increased testing. But we know that ultimately we've got to find a way to help America get back to work, and having the opportunity to hear from these business leaders about best practices that businesses are considering, whether they be
because I haven't gone to a movie in 3 months, I'm going to go see 18 movies in the first week.
We welcome that.
That's how pent-up demand works in Donald's head.
The President said, America works when America is working, and we're absolutely committed, as soon as it is safe and responsible to do so, to partner with governors across the country, partner with businesses across the country, and open up America again.
By the way, did you guys spot the spelling error in my crawl?
Before we go around, Puritan Medical Supplies, a wonderful company, will produce 40 million additional swabs per month starting in May.
Re-sitters,
they've opened up a
Rodney and Debbie.
Big process, and that was funding authorized by
Reciters,
the Defense
I think you'd call
Production Act. So that'll help the states. And again, we're there to help the states. A lot of states can buy their own swabs.
Trolls
it's not that
opened
big a
up.
deal,
Disney's been advertising Trolls for a couple of years now. It opened up to 2 million.
You know, the governor of Louisiana today, and we told that story, which has been a really great story. And we had the governor of Florida in yesterday, and that was a great story. These were just incredible what's been happening.
It really likes great
start
stories.
With my left, and Chris, you want to take it and tell them about you. I know a lot about your company, but maybe a lot of people don't. Tell them the story.
Indeed you do. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me back to the White House. I was thinking on the way down here today, I'm based in Washington, and I was here about 6 weeks ago. The world was a different place. We were.
I think the chairs are 6 feet.
But we were in the thick of it, fighting this war. And we've come a long way. We've made tremendous progress thanks to your leadership and the leadership of the administration that's represented around this table and otherwise. So thank you for that.
He's with Hilton.
We are very supportive as an industry and certainly as a company on reopening America. We think it's critical that that happen. The guidelines that you and
Is
the
anyone out there going to go to a movie?
we are incredibly
Are you guys going to go to a
supportive
movie? Are you
opening
guys going to go to a
safe
restaurant
and healthy
until we have
way,
vaccines?
which you and Vice President Pence just described. We have been trying at Hilton and as an industry to be part of the solution throughout. So in the middle of the crux of the crisis, when first responders were unable to get housing, even though our industry and our company has its share of problems, we provided with
Fantasy
American
Island?
Express
That's a new
1
movie?
million rooms free of charge to first responders.
That's
Those
cool.
rooms
Good job,
are
Hilton.
still being provided to first responders as they fight the war. But now as we think about, and I spend my time predominantly on the reopening of our business, what we realize is that people do want to get out. They want safety. They want to be doing it in a way that is safe. They want to feel good about it, but they want to get out. They want to visit their family, their friends, their loved ones. They ultimately want to get around the country.
This guy talks with his hands, but it's always the same conversation. Thump, thump, thump.
They want to feel safe.
Thump,
so
thump,
all the
thump,
work
thump.
that you all are doing is obviously.
Oh wait,
as
no, there's a new
administration in the States is
word.
critical.
I
What
can't
we're
do it.
trying to do in our part is develop the best health and hygiene standards that exist. So when they stay in our hotels, they feel safe. So what we launched just this week was in a partnership with Lysol, one of the most respected brands with some of the best scientists on cleanliness and killing germs, and the Mayo Clinic, one of the most reputable health organizations in the world. We have developed and are working on the absolute best.
And he did
protocols.
this,
So when people
too. Then he
come
did one of these.
into our hotels, the
He was doing a
rooms
lot
are
of thumping
clean,
on the
they've been
table.
sealed,
Thump,
the
thump,
public
thump.
spaces
That's why I noticed.
and that they can feel safe and secure in that environment, so they can get out.
Someone
and
does
see the
this,
people
too.
they
Who does
wanna
the cup?
see and see this great
This is the cup.
country, again, like they used to. We've also been trying to work with the industry. And
Now he's doing the
industry,
open palm.
To their credit, is trying to mobilize to create a consistent set of standards, so that this isn't just Hilton. The whole industry, would have a set of health and hygiene.
Yeah,
standards
basically
that
all of
would
these,
make people
by
comfortable.
partnering with these different
Sharing it with the
businesses, it's
administration,
all they're doing is
sharing it
Mayo
with,
puts out
governors
health
already,
guidelines, just like the CDC
trying to
does.
create a standard.
And
we stand ready as
We've
Hilton,
partnered
and
with
we stand
them.
ready
In other
as
words,
an
we've
industry
read what they've
to
said, and we're
get
going to do it,
America open and
which is good. I mean,
Thank you very much. Great
Hilton should
company,
be cleaning their
and
hotel
we'll
rooms.
have
That's
it
great.
up and running again very soon. I know you very well, and you're going to do a great job reopening. We're reopening Hilton, and we're reopening our nation. A lot of companies are very excited right now.
It's the
Steve, you
Super
wanna say
Friends.
Just a couple of words about where we are with the different things, please.
Well, I think, thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. It's great to see these companies here today. It's great to see the reopening. I think we're making an enormous amount of progress. Yesterday, we met with small businesses that we saw the benefit of the programs. Today, we're meeting with big businesses. I was particularly pleased to hear from Chris. He's been able to access the capital markets. Just the announcement of our facilities with the Federal Reserve created liquidity so that public companies could access the capital markets and not need to come to the governments for support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Walt Amer with Waffle House in Atlanta, Georgia.
Is Waffle House good?
It's an
I know they're
honor
everywhere.
to
I've never
thank
been to
you for
one because they're in the
including
South. I know they're
me,
everywhere down there.
a
And I know they stay
really
open during
well-dressed cook,
hurricanes, and
dishwasher.
they
I don't know about big companies, but
seem to be
but
a nice company.
we're
Are they a
happy to be
decent company?
included.
Are they a good
Thank
place to
you,
eat?
Mr.
I don't
Vice
even know.
President, for all of your support. I am here representing our industry, I believe, and
Like, if this is
large part, the
Denny's,
independent restaurant companies of America,
and this
that,
is, let's say,
that are out here that have helped create the fabric of our country.
Sherry's.
With
Red
the
Robin. Where
restaurants
are
that
they?
put
Where's
in our
Waffle
communities
House?
and the connections they have
Is
in
it
communities. And,
Hero?
And we, in a small way, feel like we are a part of that. We did have the opportunity this week in the state of Georgia and the state of Tennessee to open up some of our dining
Okay,
rooms
all right.
to
I'm all for Waffle House, guys.
dine-in customers again.
They have my full endorsement,
And,
full and
it was
complete.
Very welcomed by our
Total and
people. It
complete.
was welcomed by our customers. Our customers are ready to see some sign of progress that we are beginning to move forward. We've done it in a safe way. We have followed all of the guidelines, your guidelines, the CDC guidelines, and how to make that happen. But what we believe when we started out,
I don't think my mic was on, but he was talking about Scalia having great genes. That's the son of Justice Scalia. I thought he said Steve Scalise. So anyway, moving on.
Safety for our workforce. And I wanted to thank you personally on behalf of our workforce, for all of the stimulus funds that have gone directly to the workforce of America. It is making a difference. It has made a difference. It is keeping the economic engine turning ever so slowly right now, but it is helping keep people put food on their table and a roof over their heads. So on behalf
I do
of
love
our
IHOP.
workforce, I thank you for that.
Except the difficulty I have with IHOP is eating pancakes at IHOP, and I understand it's the International House of P.
And the entire restaurant community.
But
restaurants are the second
pancakes are something I can make at home. 6 of them for $1.
And there is a million
I don't want to be paying $4.95.
Probably no other
Denny's has like a $2 for $6 menu that's insanely cheap.
But restaurants, if you think
they make a grilled cheese for $4, and what it is, it's a grilled cheese, but there's grilled cheese inside, but then there's also 4 mozzarella cheese sticks stuck in there as well. That's for $4. Now,
restaurants have a unique
you make up for it. You make up for the savings on the cardiac arrest costs. But if there's Denny's in Canada and they have a $4 menu, I'm in.
The safety of our guests has always been paramount. So
I haven't seen Tin Cup. Am I supposed to? Is there Waffle House in Tin Cup?
More sanitation practices to it, more touch points, more social distancing as you have prescribed and the CDC has prescribed. And we have a
is this guy wearing a banana around his neck?
Our restaurants into the ability, pretty much at half capacity, to seat guests in our restaurant, and it's given us an opportunity to get the wheels of the economy, our engine.
Hero, what is $4 US in Canadian? Is that what's that, like a 2.6 million?
For the people that work for us and the people in our industry. So
2.6 million loonies, Canadian loonies.
I did want to say that ever since my daughter was
young,
but you've
got healthcare.
So every time she saw the WH on the TV screen, she thought that stood for Waffle House. So I don't know if you have the trademark for the WH or we do, but we could probably work something out.
What's he holding up? Does he have a logo on his banana?
This one was here first. I know that.
Well, we might have to talk then. So, but thank you for including us, and on behalf of all the restaurant operators out there in the country, we appreciate this opportunity to begin the journey.
I can understand that. I can understand Waffle House customers wanting their company to open.
Chris of Toyota.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you first for inviting us. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and giving us an opportunity to share how Toyota is working within the American automotive industry to return to work safely, to reopen America safely.
My Toyota dealership never closed. They had the service still open because it was essential. This is in Los Angeles, Santa Monica, actually.
On March 19, we started to plan to reopen. We started.
Does everybody at Waffle House wear that white tie? Yellow tie?
We've been here in the U.S. for over 60 years, 1,500 dealers. 1.2 million units of cars and trucks manufactured last year, 475,000 people employed, including a great number in the state of Indiana, from where our Vice President is from. Going to the next slide, with that as background, really are trying to apply 3 fundamental principles to how we're going to return to work. Principle number 1 is we need to stay connected with our team members. So every week we conduct phone surveys with all 32,000 of our factory workers, asking them how are they feeling, what's their health, what's their family's well-being, what's their confidence level in returning to work. And we also preview with them all of the new safety protocols and processes that we're going to put in place. We share pictures of the reconfigured factory workplace so they can have confidence that we're doing everything possible, Mr. President, to keep them healthy, safe, and productive. The second principle that we follow is that
Chris,
we prepare our
right.
plants and facilities for safe and healthy working. So, like many here, we're engaging in
yes, you can transmit the coronavirus through the flag.
Provision of masks and face shields
it's
where appropriate. Daily temperature screening, as well as a daily app-based questionnaire that before you come into work asks you, how are you feeling today? Do you have any symptoms? So that we can try and manage and contain the virus. And
or just tell them, don't come to work if you have any symptoms. But this virus transmits asymptomatically, and if we're looking at Los Angeles, where my Toyota dealership is, the vast majority of people are asymptomatic, according to the antibodies that they've been finding there.
Open on May 11. It'll be a slow, gradual opening of our plants around the country, but we're flexible. Every plant will be different. We'll have staggered shifts. We'll do many other things to comply
Yeah,
with the
watch
Centers
Trump
for
ask,
Disease
so I
Control
don't get
guidelines,
it.
and our
Did
goal
China
is to
have
prioritize team
slavery?
member
Is that why
Mr.
Toyota has
President,
a
one final
guy
point.
like you?
We all know that our team members live in communities.
Were you born in
It's
Kenya?
not just the workforce that they're in communities. So what Toyota has done is it's tried to support the communities in which our team members live, including manufacturing 500,000 face
I know
shields
Denny's
just
in
since
Canada,
the
but
start of
do they
this
have
crisis
the
to
$2 for $6
distribute
menu?
to healthcare centers, nursing homes, first responders around the country, so that our team members can feel that we're also part of the community.
Thank you.
And we've also put together, just released yesterday, a community service announcement aimed at those communities of color that have been particularly
They don't have Denny's in
impacted
Quebec?
by the
They don't have, like,
lethal
Le
nature of
Denis?
this virus. This announcement includes celebrities encouraging everyone to engage in safe practices promoted by the Centers for Disease Control. So we think it's a holistic process. We think it's also a process that requires
Trump doesn't know
commitment,
what
and thank
holistic
you for
is.
the commitment that your administration has demonstrated. We're going to get through this as a family, Mr. President. Thank you.
So, Chris, what's Toyota doing in Japan? Are they open? Are they semi-open? What's happening in Japan?
Mr. President, in Japan, the situation varies prefecture by prefecture. It depends on the plant.
Is it going to say how
Some
good of a friend
facilities are
Shinzo Abe
operating,
is?
Some are not, and that's really a function of both the situation on the ground in a given prefecture like our state, or it's a function of demand. So it varies, sir.
It wasn't a bad
Great
question.
job. You're going to have a great Olympics next year, too, by the way.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Really great Olympics. Thank you very much. Matt Maddox, please.
Trump just asked a question that wasn't completely
Thank you, Mr.
stupid.
President.
I think
First,
we've
I'd
turned
like
a
to,
corner here,
echo what you were
folks.
saying about testing and testing capacity. We have seen a real
It's
expansion
true,
in
Lori.
testing capacity in Las Vegas, so much so that our
Who's this guy?
university hospital is going from a couple hundred tests a day to 10,000 tests a day. They don't have enough people to test. So I signed a deal with them to allow all Wynn employees to get tests anytime
Steve Wynn.
for free. And they're going to set up on-site testing. So that's moving forward.
No,
we
wait,
also,
it's Matt.
during
That's
this
not Steve
time,
Wynn.
Decided to pay
Matt
all
Maddox.
15,000 of our employees, from housekeepers to head of sales.
Right.
And we did that because I thought that could help accelerate the economy. So as an example, we took our call center, and we've had our call center team up with the health district to become contact tracers. We tripled the amount of
that's
contact
awesome.
traceability on us for our state to get that moving.
Great.
And we published a 23-page plan for the whole world to see 10 days ago that lays out exactly what we think a strip opening would look like. We have thermal cameras at our entrances. We have company-supplied PPE. We have just about every UV technology that you can think of for disinfectant. So we're ready, and I'm encouraging our state that we need to begin a phased approach.
Wow, Casino's got it all together.
And get back to business.
I'm
When
all
do you
for
think
what
the
Stephen
Las
Miller's
Vegas
brother
strip
is
will be
saying. Oh,
opening? Do you have
question.
any idea?
So the plan that I put forward to the state is this week, let's start phase one, golf course, tennis courts, small restaurants, small retails, nail salons, et cetera, with social distancing in place. Judge the benchmarks that we've prepared.
That all
We've
made
prepared
sense
three
until he said
benchmarks
nail
based on
salons.
Disease growth, ICU capacity, and testing positivity rate. We're going to have them out there public every day. If we're inside those benchmarks in 3 weeks, then on Memorial Day, I would hope that we're open.
And you have a lot of excess testing capacity. That's great.
We do.
Others have said that, too.
We do.
Ron DeSantis said it yesterday.
So all 12,000 of our employees in Las Vegas can now go get a test.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Great
Sure.
job. Say hello to all of my friends.
I will. I
All
will,
right.
of course.
Josh Bolton, please. Josh. Business Roundtable. And does a great job at the Business Roundtable. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for this opportunity. I'm Josh Bolton. I'm CEO of the Business Roundtable, an organization of nearly 200 of America's leading CEOs who collectively employ over 15 million people.
I can't get into Canada right now
Every
anyway,
sector of
Hero,
the
so-
economy is represented in our organization, so we have an opportunity to get a view of the big picture.
Is that Larry
Mr.
Kudlow
President,
falling asleep next to
We don't
him?
need to tell you that right now the
Yeah.
big picture is very challenging. We're facing the largest economic crisis certainly in our lifetimes, and all of our members are keenly aware of that. We think now is the moment that it's critical that the country start getting back to business as rapidly as possible, not just for the health of the economy, but for the health and well-being of all of our citizens in our country. Successful reopening will depend, as the other panelists have said, on a lot of different elements, and if I may, I'd like to highlight three. Top of the list is safety first. Business Roundtable companies are all uniformly committed, above all, to protecting the lives and the well-being of their employees and their customers. And that means following sound public health guidance like the guidance that has issued here from the very capable people on your team. At Business Roundtable, all of our members either already have in place or are formulating careful plans for responsibly transitioning back to work, like the plans we've heard about just now this afternoon. They're devising new measures around personal protective equipment, cleaning procedures, virus screening, ongoing social distancing in the workplace, all of the things that you know about, and they all seem to be excellent plans. Which takes me to my second point, which is consistent guidelines. No matter how good every company's transition plan is, and we've heard a lot of good ones here this afternoon, public confidence will be undermined and the speed of the reopening will be dramatically slowed if we're all doing different things. And that's why the Business Roundtable has called for clear, science-based guidance from the federal and state governments on appropriate safety measures in multiple workplace and commercial settings at different stages in the progression of the disease. The White House guidelines, Mr. President, that you highlighted in your first slide, the ones that came out 2 weeks ago, are an excellent start in identifying a common set of phases for dealing with reopening. And a number of states are off to a really good start in identifying recommended safety measures in each of various different settings. Now we think, since we are now on the cusp of many places being ready to reopen more fully, we think more specific guidance is needed. And so on Friday, we sent to the Vice President and to all the governors a set of recommendations on the kinds of consistent guidance our businesses feel is necessary for the safest and fastest reopening. And we're grateful for the chance to engage with the Vice President's team and all of your task force on those issues. And I should say, Mr. Vice President, that everybody in your administration, despite the heavy burdens on them, has been very receptive to taking advice from the business community, and we're very grateful for that.
Who's seen my phone? Does one of you have my phone?
Ample testing and monitoring. The only thing worse than an unnecessarily slow recovery is a reversed recovery. So to avoid serious setbacks, as our businesses
the border's closed. No one's going into Canada right now.
Vigilant, identifying rapidly and isolating new COVID cases and carefully tracking the spread of the disease, as I know your team is working very hard on. The robust testing and other forms of monitoring are the keys.
Hero, I still have your Joshua
They'll also teach us what's working and what's
CD
not working, and allow us
from
to make adjustments.
1980.
It'll take a while for our
from 1992
economy to return to
so
normal.
you'll get that Joshua Tree CD back
American
when I get my
virtues
phone.
of vigilance, adaptation, and innovation. We are confident.
Everybody, Hero
will
was
see us
my
through and
university
get to,
roommate.
Get us to the other side of this crisis as safely and rapidly as possible. Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Josh. That was great. The numbers, when you look at the stock market today, the enthusiasm is great. It's up very substantially, as you know. And I think people are seeing a very big year coming up next year, and I think they're seeing a very big fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Larry,
when you're
would you
gone.
like to say, Larry Kudlow, a few words, please?
Just a
Oh,
few
never
words.
go on a
Thanks to
cruise ship
everybody,
again.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, and all the business folks, and my friend Stephen Mnuchin.
Stock market hasn't even hit 25 again.
I've been around a while. This is a tough one, and the contraction's going to go on for a bit. But I like what I hear around the table.
Wow.
I agree with the President. We will see a growing, recovering economy.
Overall, the market's fantastic.
summertime
It's
and
just down
back end of the
$5,000,
year.
$5,000,
it's
5,000
gonna
points
extend into 2020.
from where we were. So
That's what I think is going to happen.
still a
And I
bear
think
market,
the stock
but
market is signaling some of
but
that.
amazing.
I wanted to buck it over to my dear friend
Everything
and
is
colleague, Kevin Hassett.
fantastic.
He gave it to me over in the Oval yesterday. I want to send it over to him today. But I appreciate it, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
He just does not have it today.
Mr. Vice President, I think when I first came back in early March, that it was clear that you had a first objective with respect to the economy of building a bridge to the next shore, the other shore, when we could restart the economy. And it was really massive fiscal action that made.
Do they not have microphones that have a stand on them so that they don't thump every time someone touches the table?
To
like
start up.
Literally, kids.
Because
look, that's all you need. A little tripod. See that?
The checks that we've mailed to citizens means these are going to be demand for their products. And so the big negative numbers that we're going to be seeing over the next few months don't necessarily mean what they would have meant absent all those policies. And so I think.
Wait, did somebody say swabs? Oh, no. You meant Larry drink.
Come back, and it's precisely because of what
I was gonna
that people have come up with plans.
Pass it over to Kevin.
Task force.
Because I just
have given that make it so that they can operate
I'm
safely,
thirsty.
And they're gradually across the country opening up and getting back to work, and they're able to do so because of the lifeline that Mr. President, through them with all of the first three phases of fiscal policy. Thank you.
He's touching the microphone.
And it's great to have you back too. Very talented guy. At least he made
I'm
a lot
sorry
of
if that's thumping in your ears, guys.
All turned out between you and Larry. That's a tremendous
the audio
team.
people should know this.
Gene, Secretary.
I don't get a Canadian stimulus check. Kevin Lee Daughter didn't even get a stimulus check. Still trying.
Well, it is so important. And, Mr. President, I was pleased to be able to tell you earlier today that as of
Larry's the guy on the floor of the bar.
All 50 states in the District of Columbia are now offering the additional $600 in unemployment insurance that was part of the
I applied for
CARES
unemployment
Act
insurance.
Signed last month. This was an additional benefit on top of what the states were already making available.
I feel badly for the state unemployments because they are just blown away by the number of people applying.
As you know, the states have had some challenges.
No, I can't get the Canadian one. I don't know that I've ever filed taxes in Canada.
This is not declaring victory on all aspects of delivering those unemployment benefits, but it is a milestone I wanted to note. I have been very.
I wonder if I could apply for the Canadian check.
Discussion among this group about all the steps that companies are taking to keep their workers safe. I think we all appreciate that confidence on the part of workers that they will be safe in the workplace is going to be an important part of the reopening, as well as confidence on the part of business about what needs to be done and that when those steps are taken, they will have satisfied their obligations. We at the Labor Department have been working carefully.
This is Justice Scalia's kid.
CDC to provide guidance for a variety of different workplaces.
Eugene Scalia. He's got great genes. Some of the greatest genes. I mean, just look at all that hair.
And employees know as well. And we'll continue to do that. We're also receiving complaints from workers who worry about safe work conditions or that they might have experienced some adverse action for raising safety concerns, and we'll look into those, and we have the tools that we need from an enforcement perspective if workers' rights aren't respected. But I'm so heartened to hear the steps that businesses want to take and are taking to support their workers. Just a last observation, Mr. President. As you and the Vice President said, just weeks ago, we were enjoying such an extraordinary economy, and there were reasons for that. There were policies that you put in place, lower taxes, deregulation, that were vital to what we enjoyed before. Right now, we're in a period of very important government intervention. We need that. But as we look forward to the department, I think it will be important to remember as well the limits of government, and that the single best thing for workers is a vibrant economy, and that often comes from allowing free markets and free people to go about their business. We'll keep that in mind, too. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for our panelists, please? Yeah, please.
This could be a question for any of the business leaders, but there are polls that show that Americans say, the vast majority of Americans say that once they're allowed to go back to restaurants, hotels, places like that they won't because they don't feel safe.
Yeah.
So are you worried that until there is a vaccine, people really won't come back to some of these businesses?
Of course we worry about it, and we see some of the same polling, and we're talking to our customers by the tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Last year we served 180 million people, so we have a pretty big and extensive customer.
No, look at all that diversity, guys. You're absolutely right, Sherry.
Customers is that they're desperate to get back.
Some of them are wearing pink ties, and some of them are wearing yellow ties. So, diversity.
They obviously want to do it in a safe and healthy way. And so I think they're looking, our customers are saying they're looking
no, the guy from Toyota,
for the government, both state and federal government,
he's
to focus on testing. So
some sort of diversity.
You know, what real mortality rates are as work has been done with the Stanford test and the, you know, the data in Norway and
but
other data points that are
that's
coming
got nothing to do
as
with
administration and
the administration.
More and more testing. I think our customers,
that's just the people in charge of these organizations.
Understand while every life is precious, that the reality of
yay
the
for socialism
mortality rates here is probably much lower than had been estimated. And if they are old and infirm, that they have great risk, and those people should be protected. But if they're not, they have probably are at a very low risk. They're then looking for, which is why we launched this week Clean Stay, and while we're working with our industry, they want to know that people are being responsible, right? They want to know that we are doing the testing, the social distancing, that we are using protocols and PPE in protecting our employees so that they can protect customers, that we're being very thoughtful and sensible that when they come and stay with us or they enter into a restaurant where we've always had good hygiene, as you heard
by
earlier.
The new patron
you know, our people are
resistors.
Good hygiene, but we up our
I fixed the spelling
so that when they're with us,
I don't know, Pence was talking, I have no idea.
So I think it's a combination of those things that are happening, of broadly understanding the real risk that they have, and then mitigating that risk even
Democrat,
further
socialism, Republican,
we all take
patriotism.
work with our team members and thus ultimately with our customers.
Thump, 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 thump.
And I haven't seen that because I will tell you, to me, I think there's a tremendous pent-up demand for people.
Oh,
I
yeah.
see it in Texas where they have lines
outside restaurants. Yeah.
A couple of restaurants, I guess, opened, and they literally have
lines.
long lines.
They don't. Has anyone seen that?
Pent-up demand.
I haven't seen a lineup at any restaurant. I saw a restaurant in Georgia where they said, well, we're not getting much volume.
In the world, in my opinion, but I think there's just a great demand to get out and, you know, get our country going again, and that includes going to restaurants and hotels. And I think you're going to find, Chris, that you're going to do a lot of business that you're not even thinking about. I'm seeing it. I feel it. And
oh, he feels it.
I felt a lot of things over the years, including, gee, I think I can win for president.
Yeah.
And
a stinging sensation after a night was stormy.
Next year is going to be a very good year economically. We're going to be back in business. So we'll have to see. I mean, only time will tell. But
we'll have a Democratic president.
And a lot of good decisions have been made by a lot of very talented people. So I'm feeling
and still 70,000 dead.
For you, Mr. President, do you want the FDA to issue an emergency use authorization for remdesivir?
Well, it's a big thing. What happened just recently, where they came up with something.
It is a big thing.
A substantial percentage. You know, it's a
so he's right.
Tony said it today. I thought it was very well expressed. He said that's a building block. That means that's a very substantial chunk of a step. And that's a building block to the ultimate step. That's a big building block when you hear, I guess, 31%. So it was very good. Yeah, I want them to go as quickly as they can. Stephen Hahn, Dr. Hahn, has been incredible at the FDA. He's getting things done at record time. There's never been anything like it. And yeah, we want it. We want everything to be safe, but we would like to see very quick approvals, especially with things that work.
He always says there was never anything like it with the FDA. Ebola.
Mr. Bolton and others suggest that they'd like to see federal guidelines for some of these companies, explicit federal guidelines for some of these companies and factories opening back up. So far, you've given a lot of discretion to companies and states, but is that somewhere where you'd be willing to step in and do more?
Well, we will step in if we see something wrong. We have given discretion to the governors. I've become very well acquainted with the governors. You have some very talented governors, frankly.
It's true, Chris.
And probably some that are a little bit less talented. That's okay, but it's a very talented group of people.
Every time he talks about the governors, he has to mention that some are not.
Whether it's ventilators or swabs that they can't get.
Swabs.
We're there. And we've taken in billions and billions of dollars worth of equipment and distributed to the states. And, you know, you've heard the calls, and we have no problems.
We've taken in the equipment. You purchased it.
But we want the governors to call those shots. If we see something that
he's used to saying taking in billions and billions from China,
we'll stop it immediately. Okay?
I heard I got nothing to drink.
New normal look like 2-3 years from now? Say restaurant workers, hotel workers, might they be required to wear masks, that sort of thing? What would the new normal look like?
No, I don't see that. I see the new normal being what it was 3 months ago. I think we want to go back to where it was. I mean, when I look at a baseball game, I want to see people right next to each other. I don't want to see 4 seats in between every person so that the stadium becomes 25% of its original size. No, I want to see
that'd be 20%.
The NFL
but
with a packed house. I don't want to
math
see
is
NFL
hard.
with 3 seats in between people. No, I want
that would be 25%.
Where it was. That's where we're going to be. Look, this thing will pass, and when it passes, that'll be a great achievement. And we've done a very good job. It's far too many people, needlessly, because it could have been stopped at the point of origin. And somehow we weren't helped by whether it's World Health Organization or China, whoever. We weren't, they didn't
whomever
do what should have been done. Very sad, actually, for the whole world. It's a very sad thing. It's a very, very
this
sad
is a
event.
sad thing.
It's a war against the invisible enemy, and we're now on the other side, and I think what I want to see is I want to see where it was. And I think we have a chance to have an incredible year next year. Now, not if somebody's going to come in like our opponents and raise taxes all over the place. They want to raise taxes.
He keeps hedging that, by the way. He started out with soon,
very special.
and then it was immediately with a V.
World, and I want to get that back as soon as possible. I think we can start getting it back.
Now it's fourth quarter.
Look at the stock
next
market
year.
Today, when it has that kind of Kevin and Larry, when it has that kind of Josh, when it has
Yeah.
that kind of a bounce today, as much as it went up, but I think it set some almost
2%?
a record over the last week, right? It's almost a record.
No.
And this is in the midst of something. Now, we're not in the midst. They feel we're at the other side of it, or you wouldn't be seeing numbers like this. But so we're at 24,000, maybe even a little above 24,000, and we were at 29,000. We never broke 30 on the Dow. So that's tremendous. But what it really does, you have a lot of very smart people. That means that they are looking to the future, number one. And I look at it as jobs. I also look at it as sort of guidance. It's a guidance in a sense. It's
the stock market is guidance?
Who would think you could have a stock market at 24,000 after we've gone through the worst pandemic since 1917? That's over 100 years.
1918. The pandemic of 17 didn't exist.
I think that's a great indicator. There are a lot of very smart people that understand that world very well.
Not you.
They have a lot of.
You're not one of those smart
and
people.
Some of the companies that we hear, public companies, but it means jobs. It also means not
what was the
guidance,
question?
It means some people, and I know some great investors. People really have a lot of confidence in what's going forward, and that's what I see, and that's where I want it to be. Okay.
Mr. President, are you open to making a deal with the Postal Service that would allow it to borrow from Treasury without raising its shipping rates?
Here he goes on Amazon.
We have to raise the rates on packages because they're losing a fortune on packages. They're losing anywhere from $2 to $3 or $4 a package every time they deliver. So it's not fair, and it's not fair to the people that work at the Postal Service. You have some of these.
I have the best Postmates. They brought it right to my table.
And they drop millions of packages on the post office.
That's
the
cranberry
delivers a
vodka.
package,
That's
and
delicious.
Every time they deliver a package, they lose from $2 to $5 a package. And what kind of a business is that? And you could never replicate the post office. The post office is massive, but they've got places in
so let's
little
not help them
sections
out.
of our country that no company could ever go to. That took hundreds of years to build the post office.
Hundreds of
and
years.
When you look at the size of it and you compare it to companies, it's much bigger than companies. I mean, much, much bigger. There's no company that's the size of that. No, we want to stabilize the post office, and the way you do that is these companies are going to have to pay more, not the people. We're not looking for the people, but the companies are going to have to pay a percentage of that loss. You can't do that. The government shouldn't have to do it. I think the post office could. Wouldn't it be great if it could, after so many decades, break even? But we're making a lot of people rich and a lot of companies rich by subsidizing these companies. On top of that, they don't pay the same taxes as a retail store. It's very unfair to the retailers. You look at these stores, the retail stores are being just clobbered. And there are so many disadvantages. But no, when we deliver...
The United States Postal Service has 600,000 employees. Walmart has 2.2 million.
That's not fair.
So
those companies should pay for it, Steve.
Not the biggest, not bigger than companies.
Asked us to chair a postal task force to look at restructuring. A year ago, we didn't have any board of governors. We now have a board of governors that's overseeing it. They're conducting a search. We look forward to hearing the results of the new postmaster, and we think this is
more like Mike Post.
The people at the post office will have a terrific opportunity.
And we're protecting our post office, by the way. And we always will. But we want our post office to be
But
successful.
we're not going to give them a loan.
We don't want it to be a...
That's what he said the other day. He wasn't going to give them a loan unless they raised the rates on Amazon.
Organization, the way it's been for so many decades now. It's ridiculous. And then we make other people rich. We make other people rich because we're willing to deliver packages at a fraction of the cost. So other people gain.
I'm sure with John Oliver's
there. You're hurting a lot of other people because you're hurting retailers. You look at stores where the stores they have to pay rent and taxes and all sorts of things that these companies don't have to pay. So it's not a fair situation. We want to take care of our taxpayers, and we want to take care of, very, very importantly, the people that work at the post office. Yes, please.
Donald J. Trump, the anti-internet president.
Round of aid for the states and communities. Are you going to try to restrict that aid from going to sanctuary cities and states?
I don't think you should have sanctuary cities if they get that kind of aid. You know, if you're going to get aid to the cities and states for the kind of numbers you're talking about, billions of dollars, I don't think you should have sanctuary cities. And by the way, the people that have sanctuary cities, they don't like it. I think politicians like it a lot more. I go to California, I go to lots of different places, and I have people with a very liberal bent saying they don't like sanctuary cities. They don't want criminals to be in sanctuary. They want security. They want safety. And you know,
he does not understand what a sanctuary city is.
They don't want people pouring across into our country. And you know, I was there a long time ago. The wall is up to 175 miles built now, and the numbers are incredibly good because
out of
all
what,
of that
2,100?
175 miles, nobody comes through. Nobody even comes close to coming through, unless you have a climber of Mount Everest. But even they don't. It's not even easy for them, Josh. So it's been good. But
yeah, Josh.
Very important for you. We want our farmers to be able to get the help, and we work it so it's actually easier.
Oh, the post office was established roughly 1775, so 240 years old.
Come with the crops and everything else, and that really have been great for the farmers, and we want that to continue. And actually,
is it 93 miles, Kim?
We're working it so it comes.
What's new wall? What's replacement wall?
Help can come in even easier, which I think you have to tell your people.
Could I just follow up and
yes,
ask
please.
Explicitly, will you seek to prevent that next round of aid from going to sanctuary states and cities?
Well,
he wants to say yes.
We shouldn't have to pay anything anyway, because all they do is make it very hard for law enforcement. So that's number one. But I think in the bigger picture, I don't see helping cities and states if they're going to be sanctuary, because all sanctuary means to me is it's protecting a lot of criminals and others, many people, but there are criminals. And, you know, you write about it all the time. I see stories every day where somebody's being totally protected. ICE can't get to them. Law enforcement can't get to them. You look at law enforcement.
They can with a warrant? Yeah.
Cities. We want a safe country. We don't want people that are criminals and criminals from other countries in many cases protected. And you can't get to them. And then we're supposed to make massive payments to those states to bail out what they've done wrong over a 25-year period. So we'll see. That'll be a subject that will be discussed, certainly, sanctuary cities. I think maybe it was brought up yesterday, and I made a statement, and people were
maybe it was wrote up yesterday
to hear it, but they shouldn't be surprised. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. President, when would you like the country to fully be reopened to the way it was before, as you mentioned?
Well, we talked about it, and very strongly Josh mentioned safety. Have to have safety. But at the same time, people want this country open. The people here want it open. And there is a danger to too much being confined to a house or an apartment or wherever you live. You can't,
I just
moving along. And
hit my head against the vanity cabinet because I left it open, and then I stood up from the toilet right into it. So that's true. Houses are very dangerous.
In their states, they want to get it open, and that's what you want. That's what we all want. And with all of the procedures and safety, we've learned a lot about this hidden enemy. We've learned a lot, and there'll be pockets of fire, and we'll put them out. We'll put them out very, very quickly. But during
just like we've put out the million fires
really
so far.
A tremendous amount about how to handle it. Nothing easy.
With that remdesivir.
We want safety. So we want safety, and we want economic, where people can go and make a great living and go back to living the way. I mean, we had wonderful people in yesterday where the business was going to be lost, other than what we did, Steve, with the great programs that we set up. Their businesses were gone. One man, he was a chef with 5 children.
And you called him a chief. So yesterday there was a chef.
Some of you were there.
And when Trump introduced him, he's like, and Mark, who is a chief.
Pretty amazing. I thought it was pretty amazing.
And you could say he's a chef. You could say you're in charge. You're the one in charge. I'll post it later. I'm totally serious. That's what he did.
Small business would have closed. Now, these are big businesses, but the small businesses would have closed. And I think it's great when WIN, which is a terrific group of people.
That is a win-win.
When Matt says that, we're supporting all of the people, I know what that is. That's a big, you practically a full staff and you have no income. That's a big thing. That's a great thing. I hope you're rewarded for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, it's a tremendous thing.
Date?
Well, yeah, its target date is as soon as possible. Some states are already open. I mean, they're opening
April.
up rapidly.
That was the date, April.
Opening up on Monday. We have a number of them opening up sooner
it's a
than
beautiful
that,
date.
as you know, or at least partially opening. Some of them even even with a very strong bent toward opening, they're opening up where they'll open a certain amount here, restaurants at 25%, then going to 50%, then ultimately we want to be back to where we're 100%. We don't want. I had one restaurant owner come up to me and said, "Sir, I'm going to be opening up, but if I distance too much, I have 50% of the restaurant I had." I said, "And you'll also have a worse atmosphere." We want to be back
because it's quieter.
We want it to be the way it was, because the way it was is the right way. We can't have somebody with a half a restaurant. You understand? He had 175 seats. Now he's got half. That's not going to pay the rent.
Which is how many?
Or whatever. Same thing with an owner.
No.
I was on the phone with the commissioners and some of the owners of sports, of big-time sports. And
big-time sports.
He was talking almost like...
if there was ever a time for him to say big league, that was it.
Was there.
Big-time sports.
And I said, you're not going to have to do that for that long. You're going to be back. He said, really? Oh, really? He was like,
oh, sorry, Kim.
I don't want people to get used
don't
to this.
lick anyone.
Because this virus is going to be gone. And when it's gone, you want to get back
in
to
April.
Normal. You're not going to have a stadium that's 30% the size of what it was 3 months ago. If I watch Alabama play LSU, I don't want to see 20,000 people instead of 120,000 people. We want it to be the way it was. Now,
that is not 30%, but...
And it will be gone. And we've done a lot to get rid of it. But we want to open our country. The people want this country open.
So this 100% scenario you're laying out, going back to the way it was, is that before the vaccine or after the vaccine?
So a lot of progress is being made on a vaccine, but you never know. Right?
Really simple answer.
With SARS, they didn't come up with a vaccine, and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do. I will say this.
Well, SARS went away on its own.
So a lot of people don't know what SARS is, and some people do. But, but they do come up with vaccines. I mean, you look at what's happened as an example with Ebola, with AIDS, with others that have been so incredibly successfully, if not eradicated, certainly it's been incredible what some of, with what these people that I'm dealing with right now, like Gilead today, with,
Never finish that sentence.
As an example, that's far ahead of schedule. So we're looking for vaccines. We're looking for therapeutics also. I mean, I think therapeutics right now, if you gave me both, I'd rather have the therapeutics.
Exactly, Todd.
Makes people better right now.
He can't do that math,
Whether
though.
it's helping them along or makes them better almost instantly. We have to see. But there's tremendous work on therapeutics going on, and I think we're having some good results. One of them was Gilead today.
100% the full restaurants, the stadiums, theoretically could come.
Never answered the question. Easy answer. When we have the vaccine.
Johnson & Johnson, Oxford, you hear a lot of very good stories. I'm hearing them really firsthand, good stories, very promising, but they have to test it. Maybe it's not safe. Maybe it eradicates it, but it's not safe. And, they have to do testing with vaccines, whereas the therapeutics, it goes a lot quicker in terms of the process. No, if you don't have a vaccine, if the virus is gone, we're like we were before. But having a vaccine would be a great thing. And I think we're going to get there in this case just based on what I know, but we'll see what happens. Look,
we could get there much quicker if we just shut the country down for a month.
I mean, that's gone so fast.
Shut it.
That's gone at a level of speed that nobody's ever seen before.
Just like New Zealand.
Stepping stone. So I think they're doing very well. But no, I want to get back with or without. But I want, obviously we have to wait till it's gone. It will be gone, and we want to be back to where we were. Yes.
Without a vaccine, sir, why do you think the virus will just be gone?
It's going to go. It's going to leave. It's going to be gone.
It's got places to go.
And it might take longer. It might be in smaller sections. It won't be what we had. And
maybe with a big
lot.
Suitcase, maybe with some small carry-on luggage. It's going to go.
We call them burning embers. Boom. We put
Boom.
It out. We know how to put
That's
it
what
out.
an ember sounds like. Boom.
We put it out. And now we're equipped. Now we have more ventilators than anyone thought was possible.
Guys, it could go.
We're
It could
doing
just disappear. That's what SARS did.
Right now.
Just
we're giving ventilators. We're making
but
hundreds of thousands.
SARS
of
was nowhere near as contagious.
In, I believe, 9 different plants that made other products. In some cases, cars. In some places, other things. These companies, General Motors and Ford in another way, and GE. So many companies, Honeywell, they've stepped up. 3M has been terrific.
It'll be a miracle.
They've stepped up like nobody's ever seen before. And the job they're doing is great. And I'll tell you, I think the
stepped up like nobody's ever seen before. Yeah, we had that World War II thing.
We'll see. I mean, we'll let you know about that in a little while. Please. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. President, oil's up today, partially on reports that the Treasury Secretary and others may have.
What is it up to?
Depends on which, but it's about $25. But on the suggestion that the Treasury Secretary and others may have presented you with a plan for government assistance.
Just like everybody in a relationship with Trump.
Our oil companies go and get in trouble. It's not their fault that they got hit by 50% less volume in one day. One instant, all of a sudden, these very great companies are employing all these people. So I'm talking to Steve, and we just saved the airlines. The airlines were having the best year they've ever had. And then all of a sudden they're like out of business. We can't let that happen. So
they are not. We just gave them $25 billion.
We're saving other companies.
Since 2010, the airlines have made $250 billion profit.
But I think the oil industry
they hit a rough patch for a couple of months, and we're like, here, have some billions.
So we're looking at a lot of different strategies. We have a dedicated team combined of people at Treasury and people at the Department of Energy. As I've said before, this is not going to be a bailout of shareholders, but this is going to be supporting the national security issue. I would just comment the Secretary of Energy has done an extraordinary job of taking in oil in the strategic reserve and being paid for the storage capacity in oil. We're also exploring potentially having the ability to store another several
John Oliver is a good-looking man.
So we're looking at lots of different options. We're in touch with lots of people around the world, and the President is determined that we protect the national security interest and the jobs.
Announcement this week about.
Well, we had a very interesting thing because we had a lot of capacity, meaning you can fill it up in the national strategic reserves, and it wasn't full.
I didn't understand what capacity meant.
Deal.
So
you would have told us that we could have had that filled up, or it's on the way to being filled up at the kind of pricing that we're talking about. I would have said you have to be kidding. We're talking about 19. I'm not sure Chris is going to be happy about this because it doesn't pertain to the hotel business. Don't get scared. But we're talking about like 1952 pricing. It's unbelievable. It's prices that are so low, and in some cases we're storing oil and getting paid for storage because we have a tremendous capacity for it. So what's happened with the strategic reserves is incredible.
Be announced this week, or do you have a timeline for that?
Say it.
Additional aid might be announced this week, or do you have a timeline for it?
On that?
For oil companies.
Well, you mean a plan?
Yeah.
There's no demand.
I would say shortly. I mean, right now.
Oh, shortly though. Yeah.
Some of the big ones.
You know, when everyone starts driving a bunch again.
Over the years. I think that they're not going to have the problem, but we have a lot of great people and a lot of great jobs in Texas and Oklahoma and North Dakota and other states that are great. It's energy. It's not. I don't even call it oil. I call it energy. This is the backbone.
It's oil.
Of the world, really. You know, you can talk all of the green. I'm all for green. But the green can't power these massive factories that are being built in this country.
And the green gives you cancer.
Can't. The windmills aren't going to be able to do it. And solar's not going to be able to do it. I love solar, but it's not going to be able to do it. And, you know, we're getting it for the right price, but we're not going to let we're energy independent. We're not going to let our energy industry down. We're not going to let them, and it's not our fault. It's not their fault. But we're not going to let anything happen to them, so we're working on that very hard. I think protecting.
It's not their fault they didn't put away any of those billions of dollars in case of a rainy day.
To me, that's a very big part of what happened. You know, energy has really helped me turn this country into the economic power that it's been, and we're not going to let that go. And sure, it's going to have a couple of bad years. We have a tremendous oversupply. The reason we have the oversupply, though, number one, it was a very efficient business. And but the reason we have it is because the demand got cut in half one day by this plague. One day, all of a sudden, take a look at the roads. It goes from packed highways, everybody traveling, going all over, to no cars on the road. I mean, that was 25-30% right there. But then there's other things, factories that aren't working right now because of this.
People not wanting to die.
Using the powers that we have to make sure that the processors and all of the delivery of our food chain, that it was protected and safe. And those people, we were on the phone with all of them this morning, pretty much all of them, as you probably know. They were cheering, literally cheering over the phone. We did some good moves, not money moves so much as common sense moves, because they were being hurt by stupidity. And we have them really back online. So I think that we put out, that's called burning embers too. We put out a fire. So there'll be plenty of meat and pork and everything that you want. Yeah.
And Mr. President, you said you were anxious to get out of the White House. Might we see some travel in the next week or so?
I am so anxious for him to get out of the White House.
Next week, and we look forward to that. And I'm going to, I hope, Ohio very soon. And we're going to start to move around, and hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll have some massive rallies and people will be sitting next to each other. I can't imagine a rally where you have every fourth seat full.
I've seen them.
Every 6 seats are empty for every one that you have full. That wouldn't look too good. No, I hope that we're going to be able to do some good old-fashioned 25,000 person rallies.
Oh, this has got to be killing him. That's why he wants everything open.
Expect that to happen.
He had a rally on March 2nd, by the way.
I'm going to Arizona, and that's a little bit different. That's having to do with industry, because it's too soon for the big everybody get together and stand next to each other.
Everybody.
But that'll be next week. I don't know. It'll depend. It also depends on states. You know, you have different states. Some states are really in great shape now, and some states will be in great shape. But a lot of progress has been made.
And some of them will have flare-ups.
It's pretty incredible. Even if you look in New York, I spoke with Governor Cuomo at length today, and they're on that other side of the curve. A lot less. It's been hit very hard. You know, it's New York, and you probably
New York's a success story.
They're on the other side of that curve. The bed usage and the people coming to hospitals is way down, much lower than it was. So, a lot of very positive signs are happening.
So, President, do you expect to be able to hold rallies before the election? Do you think
hope so. I hope so. Look, we have a tremendous pent-up demand. They love what we're doing. They don't want to have taxes raised. They don't want to have stupid things happening. They like the trade deals. We've made great trade deals. I mean, the greatest trade deals ever made in this country. And that's what they want. And we have a lot of them that were lined up and ready to be done, right, Kevin?
That's what the people at the rally want?
Deals that were lined up with countries ready to be done that was so good for our country, so good for our workers.
Yeah.
And then this scourge came along, and
scourge.
You know, that's the last thing people are thinking about right now. It's, you know, we put them on hold for a little while, but no, I hope to have. I hope to see football games and baseball games and basketball. Now for basketball,
no hockey?
You're going to have a little bit of a time.
No
I
hockey.
don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they'll be able to play sort of toward the finals or the playoffs. Or
Good night, Kim. That's early.
I saw baseball's doing something very unusual. I don't know if I agree with that. I'd like to see the Yankees play at Yankee Stadium. I see they have some ideas for baseball that are very different. I guess I'm a traditionalist, but I think they'd be able to play at Yankee Stadium with obviously smaller crowds, and then the crowds would start to build as things
You
get
just said you don't want to see that.
a little bit better. But no, I think you're going to see some big things happening. And again, this is going away. This is going away.
In April.
I think we're going to come
We
out
know.
with vaccines and all, but
That's
this
a
is
beautiful
going away.
date.
And when it's gone, we're going to be doing a lot of things.
A lot of
and again, you have
things.
to look other
Todd,
areas.
you
There are
didn't you
areas,
just
we all
mention
look at
things,
New York,
Todd?
and we see New York and New Jersey and some of these very high-density places where they're doing a very good job. It's just, you know, it's not easy. But you have areas that are really at a very low point and really heading, I always say, heading south quickly. And that's what we want. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's working very good.
Heading south quickly is what we want.
Away, not to belabor
That's
the
not
point,
how the
but
expression
isn't it going away
works.
because people are staying in their homes and people are not traveling, and once they come back out, there's no
That's a good
evidence
point.
that it would go
And
away.
maybe that's it. And I cannot tell you how dedicated the people of this country have been in terms of that. Yeah, you know, one thing, if you stay in your home, you're not catching it. If you stay in your place and you don't go out, and, you know, which is what people were doing, but they want to go out now. They want to get back, and
I'm
they wanna
good.
do what they have to do. And some of the facts are coming out, and we did all the right moves. I tell you, we did. We wouldn't do. We were talking to Mike before. If we didn't do what we did, you would have had 1 million people die, maybe more, maybe 2 million people die. And if you think that we'd be at 65 or 70 or 60 or whatever the final number would be, 1 is too many. I always say it, 1 is far too many. This should have never been allowed to happen. Should have been stopped a long time
I remember
ago before it
places.
ever got here or to other countries. But if you really think about it,
Mm-hmm.
you
We're
could
thinking.
have had, I take a look at Elmhurst Hospital, or I take a look at some of these places that I know growing up in
Yeah, you grew
Queens.
up.
I know Elmhurst Hospital. I know these places very well, like the back of my hand.
I'm betting it's
And
like a
you'd see
hospital.
Body bags lying all over the hallways and outside and going into refrigerated trucks. And
Yeah.
multiply that number by 10 or 20. If we didn't do what we did, it wouldn't be acceptable. It wouldn't be sustainable.
By stopping some
Nobody would have
people from
accepted
coming
that.
in
It
from
would have been a
China?
terrible thing. We've done it right. I can't.
So the virus in New
can't
York
believe
came from
how
Europe, not
incredible the
China.
American people have been,
So
because they went out and they really did this, Chris. You know, when you think they went out and they did what they had to do. You know, every once in a while a country like Sweden will be thrown out, or Brazil. Now Brazil's having a hard time because they're having a hard time. But Sweden, the people in Sweden,
They've got
they're
your
not
buddy running
running
things.
around and shaking hands and hugging and kissing each other.
No,
You know,
they're not.
The bars are closed and the people are staying in the house. The prime minister doesn't have to say in Sweden, stay in your house. The people stay there automatically. And, you know, they're using that as an example. But they've been hit hard.
Mhm.
But again, they're...
Compared to Norway,
you
yeah.
call it automatic. I mean, it's automatic distancing.
And Denmark.
It's automatic protection. But places were closed. The bars were closed. You can't stand at the bars. You can't do certain things. You know, what we did was... what we did is a great tribute to this country. But if we lose 65,000 people, it's so crazy to say it. It's just so horrible. But if we lose 65,000 people, and instead of that going the other route, we would have lost.
Oh, I'm done
1
shaking
million,
hands. I was never a big
or
handshaker.
1.5 million, or 2 million. It's possible.
Trump's always been a very tiny
It's possible
handshaker.
that you lost more. But could you imagine? Look how horrible it is to lose 65, and then multiply that times many, many times. That would not be sustainable. So I think with all of that, I want to just thank everybody, and I want to thank these business folks are just tremendously talented people. People have no idea how talented they are, the job they do, and we're getting our way back, and we're getting our way back, I think, much faster than people think, and I think it's going to be a much more successful launch than anybody would have thought. I really think next year is going to be a tremendous year. And
I hope so.
The fourth quarter is going to be, Larry, I think the fourth quarter is going to be fantastic. I can feel it.
I feel great. Thank you.
Yeah, I can feel the demand. It's going to be really fantastic.
Well, that is the
much,
Christmas
everybody.
quarter. Yeah, I think demand will go up. That's how that happens. Okay, are we done with that? Apparently. Boop. All right, so that came out of the blue. So that was that. Guys, there you go. I don't know what to say about that. There was a lot of stuff, several things. Kim, were you the one saying you called it on stadiums? Yeah, he was talking about stadiums being 1/3 full. So instead of 10,000, he wanted 110,000. Yeah, hopefully next year he won't be in office. Honestly, guys, I was considering moving to Arizona for the election because that's a swing state. And I was living in California at the time. Now I'm up in Seattle. I really don't know where I'm going to end up here. So in California as an actor, nothing is going on. And I don't see them starting up the entertainment world again. Well, there's this liability. So I don't know. I've still got my place in LA. I can give notice. I'm sort of up in the air as to whether or not there's going to be anything there to do. So until we have some sort of vaccine or a therapy that's close to 100%, I don't see Universal Studios deciding, oh yeah, we're going to get right back on shooting this show, and we're going to need people to shoot it because of huge liability. You know, you're not going to say like, oh, come on, Brad Pitt, you'll be fine. Come on in and work. Well, maybe Brad would do it. I don't know. But I know there's a lot of actors out there that wouldn't get behind it. Yeah, okay. Exactly, Noel. Different day, same BS. Yeah, Stephanie wants to know how she does this on Periscope. What do you want, Steph? Do you want to broadcast on Periscope, or do you want to watch it on Periscope? I don't know what you're asking. There's about a 30, 40, 50-second delay depending on what platform you're watching on here, guys. So I'll stick around and try and answer some of your questions. Okay, C-SPAN's doing something over here. Let's get rid of it. Boop. All right, good enough. Yeah, let's get rid of that altogether. So we'll just have a nice empty canvas. And there we go. And you, my friend, oh, I can't adjust you. Nobody wants to see me any bigger anyway. Yeah, it's going to be very strange. So everything's shut down there. Oh, wait. Stephanie, you're literally chatting right now. I don't know how you can't interact with chat because you're chatting. I don't know, guys. Does anybody do this? Does anybody have Periscope on their phone? Like if you're in Twitter watching and then you open up the link, does it open Periscope? I think I did that one time, but I'm on the other end. I think I have Periscope on my phone, but on Twitter I just click on things. That's how I found this, because C-SPAN, or actually the White House, started broadcasting it. And I was like, whoa, what's this about? So then I got up on here. How do you get me on YouTube? That's pretty simple. Go to, do the stream. Here we go. That's right here. I don't know why that went away. Well, because I'm not on it anyway. Come on. And where'd it go? Hold on, let's see if I can fix this. There we go. Yeah, if you go to Kevin Lee Father, yeah, youtube.com/Kevin Lee Father. That should pull it up there. Then you subscribe, and then you can hit the little bell on YouTube that's on there somewhere, little bell thing. And if you hit that bell, then it notifies you when I go live, or when I put up a new video. And then you can do it on YouTube. And YouTube seems to be fairly successful in terms of people being able to chat. So if you see me on YouTube, or if you see me on Facebook, or you see me on Twitter, you can go to YouTube, and YouTube seems to have that whole chat thing on your phone pretty well laid out for people. So you can do it that way. And Chris just clicks on Periscope from Twitter, so I guess you have to put Periscope on your phone. Lori, do you have Periscope on your phone, or do you just click on Twitter and then you're able to chat? I don't even know. Oh, you know what? So Stephanie, these comments that you see right over here, here, I'll make them go away. Let's see, what can I do? Oh, I can do this. I can do this. Go to studio mode. Here we go. Not those. Give me a second. These comments right here, those comments are actually on my computer, and then I put them up on the feed. And these comments here are from all the formats. You can see there's Periscopes here, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's on Periscope right now. But you'll see sometimes Facebook. I'm on Twitch as well, but nobody on Twitch ever watched. Twitch is a game show platform, gaming platform. Not a game show platform. I think there are game shows on there. We had a very cool, I directed a cooking show on Twitch for about 3.5, 4 months, and it was one hell of a lot of fun. But I couldn't find an audience on Twitch because Twitch is for video games. Okay. So you can see. Yeah, Noel, you're on Periscope too. So Stephanie, I guess you have to get Periscope on your phone, and then Twitter should pull up Periscope, and then you sign in is what I'm gathering there. Noel, you're in Ireland. Oh, well, hey, how are things in Ireland, by the way? There was something about Ireland and what they're doing with COVID that was unusual, and I can't remember what it is now. Hold on just a second. I'm going to check into that. I don't remember what it is now, but anyway, okay, there you go, Noel. There's my commentary on Ireland. Hey, you know what I did hear about Ireland is they have stuff and things are happening. So, and people want to do things. That's what I heard about Ireland. So I'm assuming that's true. I don't know. If it's not true, let us know. If nobody there enjoys stuff, then let us know. Oh, no, but no. Mick Mulvaney is going to Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland. Were they good? That's maybe what it was, Robin. Maybe I'm remembering that. Ireland was doing a good job with the nursing homes. Noel, share with us. Is Ireland doing something super duper that we're not doing, like every other country is? I'm all caught up in my cords here. No, D, you just got here then. No, he already did his thing. So I'm going to end the broadcast in a second or two here, and then you can watch from the beginning. I don't know if it's worth watching. We had a good time. Did we have a good time, guys? Hey, if you had a good time, go to kevinleefather.com, and that takes you to my Patreon page, and then you can become a resistor or a producer, or there's all kinds of different levels. You can subscribe to me there, and that puts a little more money in my pocket, and then I can do, hopefully, more things like this. Even once everything is back to normal in 2025, I'll be able to do some more stuff. So I'm hoping to create a couple music parodies while we're doing this. I keep getting interrupted by this whole Trump thing. Let's see. Rachel reported on that. Their PM is a doctor, I believe. Yes, he is, actually. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Their prime minister, whose name eludes me at the moment, he's a doctor. And he, one day a week, he goes out and practices his craft on COVID patients, which is very cool. Can you imagine if we had a doctor running things here? Not just Dr. Scarf, but imagine if it was just, okay, Fauci, you're in charge. The same way that Obama took, starts with an S. That's why I can't do network. I'm terrible with names. Anyway, the doctor that you occasionally see on the media that was put in charge for the Obama administration. For Ebola. Unless he wasn't a doctor. Unless I'm remembering that totally incorrectly from 2014 that we had the Ebola thing. Yeah. Anyway, D, what you missed is essentially, I can recap the whole thing. Trump, he talked about stuff and things, and then everybody banged on their microphones like that. That was pretty much the entire press conference. Combi lifts are making ventilators that can be shared by 2 patients. That's cool. What is Combi Lifts? Is that, it sounds like a ski lift company. Or are they the, is it a lift company like elevators that you weirdos call lifts? I don't know. I've never heard of combi lifts. Okay. Yeah, no, you're welcome, Lori. Thanks for hanging out. I think that's probably it, guys. I'm going to go do something else. I don't know what. I can go for a nice walk. I'm on the West Coast, so it's still very sunny out. It's 2:41 here on the West Coast. I'm just waiting for a response from Noel. Let's see, he's watching on Twitter. Is everyone in Ireland named Noel who isn't named Kevin? I know when I visited Ireland when I was 13. Oh, they make forklifts. Okay, well, that makes sense. Not fork elevators, as we call them here in the States. You haven't been hitting the booze all this time, Chris? No, thank you, Bev. Thank you, Robin. Okay, well, that looks about it. Yeah, we've got our information on combi lifts, and I think that's all the information we're going to glean out of this today. Okay, kids, it's been an absolute pleasure.